Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another episode of what is our preview series show in which we look ahead to the next Arsenal fixture, which is Arsenal's game against PSV in the Europa League. Very happy, of course, to be joined by our regular guests from the Discord server, and I'm looking forward to getting their thoughts and feelings about what is a difficult game to try and kind of construct a squad for, because there's debates around rotation, fitness, injuries with Nottingham Forest at the weekend, but we're going to tackle all that and more. Now, whilst we are recording, I should say that Mikel Arteta is currently doing his press conference. As far as I'm aware, there is no live stream unless that's changed in the last 5 minutes. So it might be that we receive some team news live and breaking whilst we're doing the show. So we'll update you as and when I hear about that. I'm expecting to get messages throughout. So fingers crossed we get that. Let's introduce to you my guests for today's show. First of all, making his debut on our preview series and on the channel, it's Dom. How you doing, Dom? You good, you well?
I'm very well, thanks, Tom. Hope you're good. Hope you're well. Hope everyone's good. It's a privilege and an honour to be here. I've watched so many hours of this show.
No,
It's great
honestly,
to be here.
pleasure's all mine, mate. Genuinely, getting debutants on the show, it means a lot. So thank you for taking the plunge. You said you were nervous. Hopefully we're just going to ease you into things here.
Already feeling less nervous, so all good.
Oh, good stuff. Lovely stuff. Good stuff. You've got some experienced heads alongside you today. Speaking of which, we've got Alex. How you doing, Alex? You good, you well?
I'm doing very well, thank you, Tom. Yeah, not too bad. Enjoying the rain.
Yeah, I can't say the same. I'll tell you what, myself, me and a few others, to be fair, went down to London Colney for the open training session this morning, and the forecast did not predict rain at all. Now, if you go onto Twitter and you go onto Charlie Willard, who's one of the guys who works over at Haters, he was the guy doing the videography for the training session. There's a picture on his Twitter account that I took of him, absolutely soaked. So it wasn't the best environment to do the open training session, but it was still enjoyable. What was good about it this morning, what was different, is usually they do it on quite the far pitch when you walk into Colney. They did it on the nearest pitch today, which meant there was a much more up and close and personal kind of training session to watch. So that was a lot more enjoyable to see as well. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Let's introduce to you our third guest of the evening. It's Mr. Positive, my number 2 man. It's Ojo. How you doing, mate? You good, Joel?
First of all, Tom, I have to correct you again. It's number 1. Okay, let's not get this twisted. But I'm good, Tom, and especially since Dom wanted to make his debut, I thought let me bless him with my presence as well.
It's just humble as always, mate. Humble as always. Confident.
As we should be, right? We are number 1, so.
We are number one. You know, to be fair, I probably misinterpreted. I misinterpreted your caption alongside your name to be more personal than it is to do more with Arsenal. But no, it's absolutely fair that Arsenal still sit in first place. Let's go through some of the team stuff before we kick on with our lineups. Dom, the first bit of news was that Marquinhos wasn't at training this morning. In fact, that he was missing, and I've been told that this was purely down to illness. Now, we saw the same thing happen with Martinelli last week. He didn't start the game. He came off the bench. How much of a blow is this, considering we might need some rotation for this game?
Yeah, I think, you'll see from my team kind of where I stand with the whole rotation thing, and we'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, I think, look, at this stage in the season, and we are still in the early part of the season, it is a blow for any player to miss any amount of time, any amount of game time, and to have any reason for not being able to play. So yeah, I think I want to see more of Marquinhos. I want to see him. I want to see him play more. I think he's got a lot to offer. He's, as we've talked about before on this channel, you guys have talked about a lot, is that he kind of gives off early Martinelli vibes a little bit, but with maybe a little bit more to him than Martinelli had when he first started. So yeah, I'm always disappointed when he doesn't play. I think the way he's felt, the kind of what he's thought of amongst the team and amongst the fan base, is that he's just he's a great guy, and he seems to be a pretty half decent footballer as well. So yeah, for me it's a blow that he's not around, and yeah, I hope he's back in contention soon.
Yeah, we should hear some information on that. I've just been told that it's Gabriel Jesus who's rocked up first at the press conference. So team news will be coming in a little bit. Alex, we've got a situation in this PSV game where obviously it's an opportunity to try and get things back on track. Not that they've really deviated from, anything kind of crazy. I mean, the game against Southampton, I don't think is an indication that things are crumbling for Arsenal as of yet. But we've had 2 tricky games in the Premier League, a dominant game against PSV at home. But PSV, when we play them at their place, are a different kind of animal to the side that I saw turn up, or rather not really turn up at the Emirates last week. It was a disappointing performance from their side of things, and certainly from the likes of Cody Gakpo, etc. How do you think Mikel Arteta, if you were kind of in his shoes, should be looking to manage this in terms of rotation?
Well, I think it's difficult because Nottingham Forest have just won maybe not their first game of the season. I don't know the exact stats, but they've just won a game, which hasn't happened very often. So I think they're going to be well up for it, to be honest. And I think it's really important with the points the way they are now, with us dropping points, that we need to get a win against Nottingham Forest massively, because I can't be dealing with second place now. We're up the top. Need to stay there.
You can't say things like that. I can't deal with second place.
No,
Arsenal are where they are because they've earned it. But come on, surely
100%,
there's a bit of realism about where things are right now.
No, there definitely is. I think I'm under no illusions, but I think we really need to beat Forest big time. So I've gone. Well, you'll see from my lineup where I stand on rotation, but I think to avoid injuries, it's important to rotate, but also the expectations of players to play 2 games a week is there. And, as much as we don't want to injure players, we also need to give players game time and give players time to gel. And I think there's certainly an element of needing to find a balance between not fielding such a weakened team that we end up losing the game, because it's not going to be easy at their home stadium. I've heard some good things about it in terms of the atmosphere is quite heavy. So, yeah.
Their away fans were heavy, to use your words. So heavy, in fact, that the UEFA opened proceedings after that game. It was actually a video I posted at the Emirates that did the rounds, it's fair to say, of the flare being thrown. There's been no kind of answer on that. We've not heard anything extra from that. And to be fair, it took so long to get an answer from the Jordan Henderson and Gabriel situation, which has only just come out today, that no further action is being taken on that it was unlikely we were going to get a response to the investigation into PSV before this game, it seems. And we have got no word on that. And so therefore there's been no crowd punishment on PSV because of what happened. Some other videos are available online if you want to try and dig them out. Ojo, obviously PSV, as I said a second ago, didn't really turn up. Are you expecting a much bigger challenge this time when we go there, with them knowing that if they don't get anything other than a win, it kind of locks out top spot for them? And not only that, but with Werder Glimt, you'd expect beating FC Zurich. It puts them under pressure for their last game, having to go to Norway too.
I think the main motivation for PSV would be beating the leaders of the Premier League.
Not letting this go. I love it. Go on, keep going.
more than coming in the top place in the Europa League, because especially at their place and the way that they couldn't even play out at the Emirates, I think they would want to prove something to their fans and to the world and the rest of the Europa League competition. But I think the game would be close, because it feels like all around the world, all the teams are getting tired. I think there are too many games, and I think most of the teams expected another break in between, or normally there would have been an international break by now. But you can feel it in the way players, what they could normally control, or the way they would normally sprint. It's not just at Arsenal's team, but everywhere. Look at Liverpool or even Man City. The lethargy is coming in. It's mostly due to heavy legs and tired minds. So I expect this game to be a lot more boring rather than close, I would say.
I mean, the game at home wasn't exactly enthralling, so I wouldn't describe this one as it'd be a challenge to make it less kind of gripping than the game was at the Emirates. We did dominate that game. I mean, I'm not expecting us to dominate this game in the same kind of way. I'm expecting PSV to have a lot more opportunities on goal. Dom, again, we kind of bring through the narrative of Cody Gakpo, who'll, of course, be playing again. He told me after the game on Thursday last week that he was frustrated with the game, that he wasn't really able to get into it. He was feeding off of literally no service at all, really, as Arsenal dominated the game. There's been links once again that Arsenal continue to monitor him. Is he someone that you, A, were disappointed with on Thursday, B, kind of understanding with the lack of service that he got, and C, still interested in seeing him potentially rock up at the Emirates in more of a permanent fixture?
I'd say yes to all of those. I think I've been a big fan of his since he was linked to us in the first place, and before I'd even heard of him, and hearing the links to Arsenal, going and having a little look around, and speaking to some Dutch football friends of mine, and I have a feeling he's going to have a good game against us. I hope he does. I hope we win, obviously, but I hope he does, because I think it will prove. To a lot of people that yeah, he's the kind of person that we should think about bringing in. I know he's been heavily linked. Yeah, I've got a feeling that he will turn up, which is why. And again, I don't want to keep referencing my team, but you'll see why I've gone with a pretty strong back four because of that. Because I think he will present us with a few challenges. And yeah, I think in terms of the kind of the kind of chances that he gets and the support he gets from the rest of his team, I just got a feeling they are going to turn up. I still feel like we're going to win this game. We've got everything to go and win it. But I've got a feeling they're going to turn up. I feel like it'll be a better game to watch at their place than ours. And yeah, I think Gakpo's going to have a lot to say in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's got that. It's another audition, if you like, for him. He knows a lot of people are going to be watching this. A lot of teams are going to be watching this. A lot of scouts are going to be watching this, and it's another opportunity to not only increase his value for PSV, help his team, but potentially advertise what he's capable of doing against Premier League opposition. So he's got the motivation. You've got other players in that team, of course, like Madueke, who formerly at Spurs, got his own motivations, but most likely to start on that right-hand side, we expect, unless he is still out. Because I don't think he played at the weekend as Xavi Simons, who wasn't involved at the weekend. So we have to wait and see if he is indeed available for PSV tomorrow evening. Alex, how much do you kind of buy into the whole, Arsenal should be not even really focused that much on this Europa League game with the Premier League so important, and with, of course, that game against Southampton that didn't go our way? Some people would just like us to throw quite literally a B team into this game and then just play all of the starters against Nottingham Forest. But from my perspective, I think, to play devil's advocate to that, if you've got the chance of locking in basically a free hit against Zurich next week ahead of Chelsea, I'm taking that. I mean, where do you kind of sit on this one?
Well, I think we should aim to win every game, regardless if you're still in a competition and you still have a chance.
Political answer, Alex.
Yeah, no, yeah, I know.
Straight from PMQs is Alex today.
I think no. Well, I think I don't buy into us not wanting to win games in the Europa League. Like, if we have a chance to win the Europa League, it's a massive European competition. It's another route into the Champions League, which is obviously where we want to end up. I mean, obviously, we'd love to do more than that, but I'm focusing on the Champions League for this season. And if you have, if we slip up in the league, if other teams improve, because I think there's one thing to say is that there's a lot of teams who are really underperforming as to where people thought they might be, and I don't think that it will happen for the whole of the season. I think there's some teams out there who have been lucky to begin with, and there's some teams who are just not playing well. And once January comes around, the World Cup comes around, there'll be more signings coming out. I worry. So I think it's important to stay in every competition, and the Europa League is no exception, and there's going to be some difficult teams down the line if we want to win, and we're going to have some players playing twice a week, so getting their bodies conditioned to it.
Yeah, this is actually a really good point you've brought up, that I'm going to ask you, Ojo, about, because this whole, we need to rotate, we need to rest, we've got Premier League games. We want to be in the Champions League. And when you go into the Champions League, you play against opposition that is of a standard pretty much as close to, and in some cases certainly above, most of the teams that you play week in, week out in the Premier League. And so there is an expectation that you're going to have to play most of, if not all of, your starting 11 that you would play in the Premier League in midweek. Why is this obsession still here that in the Europa League we shouldn't necessarily be trying to acclimatise, if you will, because we didn't have European football last season, so we were completely not new to this, but it is, we're back into this, trying to reacclimatise to it. What do you make of kind of that dynamic and that theory around trying to prepare yourself for, fingers crossed, Champions League football next season?
No, I think the legacy of the Europa League, right? Earlier it used to be this B grade tournament with dead teams, and with a really cool opening song. But now it is more of
You can't help
Champions
but
League.
proper, like do this when you hear the Europa League song.
It's
Every
better than
stadium yeah.
it's actually better than the Champions League song. And
I'm
when we
not gonna lie,
qualify for the
it is from a
Champions League, we
song
should take this
perspective.
song over there actually. But I feel that now this tournament has become Champions League light. It's no longer the Europa League. So you're getting big hitters that are coming in, and as Rishi Alex just gave his answer, we should not be aiming for because technically our B team should be strong enough to beat a team like PSV, because if our B team can't do that and we have to play our A team in the Europa League, then we might as well not go up into the Champions League, because we can't play the same players every week. And as Arteta also said, if you're going to aim to be a top player, you have to be able to play 3 games a week without dropping your level. Look at Liverpool all these years. The reason they're struggling is because they played the same 11 for 4 to 5 years continuously. I don't even know what is the Liverpool B team. We only know there is only,
Mm.
was there even a Liverpool B team? I
I don't
don't
think
think so.
so. No.
Yeah.
I mean, when they
So
played
if
Champions League, they played Mane, Salah, Firmino in most of their Champions League games, and then played
yeah,
them again.
even the friendlies, no, they took them to America, brought them back to London, took them
Mm,
to some random place in the Middle East, and it was always those 3 guys playing.
yeah.
And it has taken them to a place where they are unable to recover now. But I would rather be in Liverpool's condition than in a condition where I feel like, oh my God, what if I play a player now and if he gets injured? Then that is something for the recruitment or the scouting team to check, because we cannot expect all the players to be on form, or at least our main team to play all the time.
Mm. Yeah, no, fair enough. Let's dip into the chat box and see what some of the guys and girls in there are saying. Lynn says, I think we need to try and have this game sealed in the first half, and that means a strong team out there, and then in the second half we can start to rotate players. James says, to counter, if you do give proper minutes to your second 11 and they are not ready to step in when injuries occur or make them impacting from the bench, which kind of showed against Southampton. I think that's fair. If you're not giving minutes enough to these fringe players or second string players, then are they ever going to be ready and raring to go when we need to come off the bench or replace potential injuries? Steve asked the question, what's the biggest regret, losing against PSV or Forest? Hopefully neither, but the Prem for me is more important. I would agree. I'd be interested if any of you guys disagree with that. I think that I'd rather lose to PSV than lose to Forest at the weekend. Does anyone disagree with that? Yeah.
No, that is their weak mentality again, Tom. We're not losing to
No. But
either
the question
team.
is, would you rather? It's not weak mentality. It's a would you rather. It's
No,
like this morning when the evil Manu in the chat box decided to ask me whether or not I would sell, keep, or send to Spurs between Erdegaard, Martinelli, and Saka. That's just an evil question. It's nothing to do with mentality. I had to give an answer, however painful it is.
decades of suffering has weakened our minds like this. Would you rather lose to PSV or Forest? Neither. We are not losing to either team. That is the
Any
answer.
games. Plays no games. Deary me. I think Mikel Arteta hopefully will be answering some questions very soon. Gabriel Jesus has given a couple of answers, but we're expecting Arteta soon. Let's move to our teams whilst we wait. Dom, we'll go to you. Oh, sorry. I think it's Alex actually first. We'll go to Alex's team. Talk us through this one, mate.
Well, it's slightly weakened. I think it's probably not far off some of the teams that we played in the Europa League in terms of the players' personnel. Maybe not, but certainly I think I'd like to see Nketiah have a go. Nelson, Fabio Vieira has been quiet in a couple of games recently, and I think he's due a bit of a comeback after that. The goals that he scored, obviously. Lokonga, I actually really like. I think he's got a lot of growing to do in terms of a bit more game intelligence wise, and maybe some bravery in his passing a little bit more, because he does tend to be a little bit more safe than some of the others are. Tierney and White, I think, are key to stay in. Well, not stay in, but to come in, because we need really strong defenders on the wings, because they've got some good wingers, PSV. And Gabriel and Holding is simply, I think Gabriel's done really well in Europa League, and Holding need some games. And Turner's been our Europa League goalkeeper, so I would imagine he'll start. And it gives a chance to, bring some stronger players on for the bench if they're needed.
No, absolutely. I think that with this team, what you're looking at is that combination and that balance. I think defensively, especially, you've got 3 players. I mean, when you consider Holding was starting a lot when we first brought Gabriel in, that was the starting pair, and then the following season we brought White in, and then he started alongside Gabriel most of the time, but also played with White, plenty of opportunities with Holding there. I think that's a very strong backline to protect Turner. Then you've got players like Xhaka, you've got Saka in there as well. Vieira, you've picked to be a standout. He didn't particularly shine when he came off the bench against Southampton, although I think people wildly overestimated how many minutes he was on the field for. In fairness, he was only, I think, came on in the 83rd minute of that game. What do you think about these types of games for Vieira? Are these really important for him to try and establish himself, or do you think this is still going to be very much a bedding in season for him?
I think it will be. I think it will be a bedding in season. I think the problem is that Vieira coming into a Premier League game is completely different to coming into any other game, because the Premier League is such high pace, such intensity, and it's actually a really difficult sort of league to settle into unless you've played obviously in that sort of intensity before. So I think playing in the Europa League against, and I say this politely, against mainly weaker opposition, I think it's really important for him to be able to have a bit of expression and build up the confidence, so that when he comes into the Premier League games, all he's doing is instinctive and proactive, and not sort of reactive in the way that he has been in a couple of games, with regards to certainly pressing and passing are 2 things that I think he could do bit better. His creativity is good, but sometimes the passing is lacking a little bit for me.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. I think it'll come with time and improve. I mean, he had double-digit assists last season for Porto, so he's a player that does know how to find a pass. He just needs to find that confidence and consistency, I think. Ojo, you are the first person on this platform to not pick a 5-star performer. Surprise, surprise. But talk me through your team and your lack of a 5-star prediction. I think hold on, I'm going to get up the exact quote that you gave me when I said you're not having one. You said, "No one, ... I expect us to suck again." That's what you said. So talk me through that.
Technically, I would have given you my picture to put over there, but due to rampant jealousy, you said no. So that is that. But yes, Tom, I don't think it's going to be such a great game. I hope I'm wrong and it becomes entertaining, but I expect to be seated in the middle of the night watching a boring game of midfield battle. So actually, I would have dropped Jesus, but it looks like there is this narrative, growing about how Jesus can't finish, and this is why City kicked him out. You look at his face, it feels like he's also feeling the strain of playing week in week out and being the main number 9. So I think he should start, and the fact that he's in the press conference, it means that he is going to start, and I think Arteta is going to give him some more minutes. And apart from that, we need White. White is still. I don't think our Benny Blanco is able to complete 90 minutes in full intensity. Giving him and Saliba a rest would be good. And Gabriel, since his form is just starting now, it's better to play him along with Tierney. There are doubts about Lokonga, but as our fan base needs a scapegoat, I think it's going to be either Lokonga or Jesus in the coming weeks. But I'm okay with this team for to go over there to PSV and to have a nice time and come back.
Do you think this team is good enough to come away with at least a draw in this game?
When I sent you the team, we had Marquinhos. Now you're blessed.
Yeah, well, he's not travelled, is what we're being told. So would you like to swap him out for anyone? I can change that for you.
Well, I don't want to play Saka.
Or Nelson into that side?
It's just playing Saka again. I don't want to push him to the ground. And playing Nelson is just multiplication with 0. So might as well keep Marquinhos there.
No, we're switching it out for someone. I'm going to force it on you, and we're putting Nelson in there because you don't want Saka in, clearly. So He's going with Nelson. He's going with
What about
Nelson.
Martinelli? Martinelli still plays.
Oh, you want Martinelli in there? Okay. So we're going to go with Martinelli instead, yeah? Is that what you
or,
want?
or maybe Joel Campbell or someone like that.
Right, okay, I had enough now.
You could put Jesus at right wing. You could put Jesus at right wing. He played there for City.
I like Martinelli on the right personally. I think it's something that we don't do enough. Is use him on the right hand side, but maybe that's one for another discussion. Dom, talk us through your team, my friend.
Yeah, so Turner speaks for itself, I think. I think everyone agrees that Turner needs to go in goal. So my back four, I think it's important to be strong in this game. I think we have to give. I mean, the last game against PSV wasn't much to go by, but I still think we have to give them a bit of respect. And I think for that, I've put a strong back four. I think Tomiyasu needs to remember how to play right back. He hasn't played there a lot at all recently. I know that's because White's been doing well, but as I think Ojo said, I think White needs a rest. And for me, I had Cedric there. I took him out. I put him back in. I took him out. I don't think this is the game for Cedric to come back in. I think there's too much riding on it. As we said, I don't want to lose this game or the Forest game, but I think Cedric is a bit too much of a risk at right back. So I've gone with Tomiyasu there. Tierney again. If Tomiyasu is not playing left back, then it has to be Tierney. Lokonga needs to play. I think I've been quite impressed with him. I think he's. I don't think people have been very fair with estimations of Lokonga. Some of the comments I've seen have been a bit unfair. I think he's played pretty well the games that he's played. He stays. Xhaka. I've got him as my star man because I just feel like he's in that mode at the moment where, he's always, well, not always, but for a lot of his Arsenal career, he's been the kind of guy to run through brick walls. He's been the captain, even when Odegaard's there, or even when back in the Aubameyang captain days, Xhaka was still, seen as an important person on the pitch in the dressing room. So I just feel like he's gonna help us win this game. Vieira has to play again because I don't think he hasn't shown anywhere near his full potential just yet. And I went for the front three of Martinelli and Nketiah. Saka. I don't really want to play Nketiah out of position. I think that's his best position. He needs to play there from the start. So I've got him up front, and then Saka, Martinelli. I think there are going to be games over the kind of the next few weeks where we could potentially give Saka a rest. I don't think we need to rest him. I listened to Arteta's comments around the top players play 70 games and he wants everyone to want to play in all the games. I think PSV away is a big enough game to play Saka and Martinelli, but give Jesus a rest, and actually less than giving Jesus a rest, giving Nketiah a chance to play. And then see where we are after 60 minutes and get people like, Nelson for me has had his chance. I think he did quite well. Who was it? It was a game that he played okay in.
But a glimpse at home when he came off the bench.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, made a couple of decent movements, decent bits of skill. I don't think this is the game for the likes of Cedric and Nelson and giving folks a chance. I think we need to take this one seriously, play a strong back four. Kind of Lokonga and Vieira are our competition, if you like. So they play, and Nketiah is our competition. I listened to you a lot, Tom, and competition versus backup. I think this is a time where we kind of give the competition a go rather than kind of getting a backup in to cover. Let's give the competition a chance to show what they're capable of.
So he speaks my language.
It's because I've been listening to you so much, Tom. I had to be careful. I had to train myself.
Don't let yourself get brainwashed, Dom.
Yeah, exactly right.
Brainwashing's going on. That's what it is. No, I think you're right. That's what I've been saying about Nelson. I was impressed with him when he came off the bench against Glimt, and I was like, okay, you know what? I've been critical of this guy, but I think that if he's going to come off the bench and do what he did, then great. But then in the game against Glimt away, I thought he was really poor and didn't take the opportunity available to him. So you can only give players so many chances at this level, and I think I would rather see other players, even if we have that freebie, fingers crossed it is a freebie against Zurich next week, I wouldn't play Nelson. I would play, players who are currently playing on the wing for the youth team. I just don't see necessarily the need to use Nelson in that game, because why invest more time into someone whose future doesn't lie here? I had a comment left on one of the videos, I think it was 2 days ago, saying that they hear me come on every day and just slate Nelson. And like, I don't think I come on every day and slate him at all. One, I don't think I talk about him every day for starters. But secondly, it's not about slating. It's about, in my view, team building at the top level has to be ruthless. You know, you have to be in a position where if we're looking to try and compete for titles, qualify for Champions Leagues, there isn't room in a squad for a player like Nelson, really. You know, and there isn't enough room and time to give a player like Nelson that time. So for me, I think we need to be ruthless with our squads and give opportunities to players that have a future. I'd rather see Marquinhos, if he was fit, you know, being given minutes than Nelson. That's just where I think we have to move regarding ruthlessness and squad building. I don't think it's, you know, an attack on a Highlander. I just think it's the part and parcel of modern football. My team, unsurprisingly, is relatively strong. I have gone with Jesus, although I've put him in the wide area because I agree with you, Dom. I'd like to see Nketiah start through the middle. I think that him playing in the wide area just doesn't emphasize his best attributes enough. And I think if he's ever going to be given an opportunity to really make it, I think that it needs to be with him starting centrally. And I think that Jesus is good in a wide area. And I think he's fluid. I think he's energetic. I think he supports the players around him. So, yeah, I absolutely think that Jesus should start in the wide area and Nketiah through the middle. I've gone with a relatively strong backline as well. I haven't gone with Tierney. Reason why is I want to see Tierney play against Nottingham Forest on the weekend. I have a feeling that if Tierney starts this game, he may still not start the game at the weekend. Tomiyasu, therefore, I think going up against Xavi Simons, if he is indeed fit, if he's not, then Madueke, you'd expect to be that player there, can play and try and cover him. White covering for Gakpo. I just can't quite bring myself to trust Cedric against Gakpo. Personally, I think that's a matchup that might have a losing result in Arsenal's, well, not favour, but the opposite to that, certainly.
First game back after an injury as well, Tom. Sorry, you know,
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
why put him under that pressure? For me, I don't think it makes sense to put Cedric in this game.
Yeah, I mean, maybe pressure's not the right kind of word, but I certainly agree with you in the sense that why throw Cedric into a game where he's going to get turned inside out? I don't think it's about necessarily, you know, pressure on the guy. I just think Cedric's a depth player. Why hang him out to dry, if you like, you know, in a game like that? I think that's probably fair. But I think I agreed with all of you guys in terms of your midfield three. I think we've all gone for the same midfield three in terms of what we've picked. But yeah, I think it's an opportunity where we can start relatively strong and then take players off rather than starting weaker and having to, you know, push our players on in the second half that are stronger, really trying to chase a game. I think it should really be the other way round. What you shouldn't obviously have to do is chase the need for security online. And that's why you should go and have a look at NordVPN. How about that? Why are you laughing, Alex? I thought that was great. I thought that was wonderful. You can, of course, go online and be safe whilst abroad. Maybe you'll go into the PSV game. Maybe you're there and some reason your ticket's not worked and God, no, my ticket's not worked. What I'm going to have to do? Well, I can't watch on my usual broadcasting app because I'm abroad. Well, I've got a solution for you. Download NordVPN, change your geolocation to the UK, and you can use your broadcasting app without any issue whatsoever whilst remaining safe and secure online. And not only that, but you can get a massive discount as well using nordvpn.com/Gooner to get a great deal, big discount, 4 months free. And if you don't like it, you can take a 30-day money-back guarantee as well. I'm going to take Alex's laughs as confirmation that he indeed has already signed up with NordVPN. I can see him nodding. For those on audio platforms. He is indeed nodding. So I'm loving that. It's brilliant. Anyway.
Seamless transition.
It is. It's second nature now. It's just second nature at this stage. It's brilliant. Anyway, go.
Now, if I had known NordVPN was so secure, I'd have played him at right back. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, VPN at right back. That's what I think. That's the way forwards for this Arsenal team. Anyway, we're going to find out a little bit more about the team news from Arteta after this quick break. So, Marquinhos has not travelled. Mikel Arteta has confirmed in his press conference. However, there was no information at all on Zinchenko. Nothing. Didn't even speak about him. Didn't even mention him in the press conference. 4 youngsters have travelled. So we're assuming Zinchenko is not one of the players that's gone there. The 4 players and 4 youngsters that were in training this morning, in training was Bradley Ibrahim and We had Matt Smith and Catalin Kurjan. There was no fourth youngster. So I'm curious to know which one it was. Maybe it was Kyle Edwards because he's been in the team a bit before. It could be Mario Koja-Dubry. We'll have to wait and see who the fourth youngster is, unless he considers potentially like the likes of Reece Nelson a youngster. Who knows? We have a lot of young players in the team that could easily still get into that under 21s. That said, I think Nelson turns 24, maybe even next year. He's getting on a bit now, which seems mad. But yeah, so potentially that's the reason why. But it's frustrating about Zinchenko. Before we do predictions, and we are going to do predictions, I just want to get kind of a one sentence or so answer from each of you. Dom, are you concerned now about Zinchenko's injury record?
No, not yet.
That's fair. Alex?
About his injury record?
Mm-hmm. Are you concerned about the future for him at Arsenal with his current injury situation?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a fan of Cedric, so I'm not concerned about his injury record because I don't think he'll be here for very long. No offense to him.
I think you may have misheard me. I meant Zinchenko.
Oh, Cedric.
Brilliant. I was like, what? I was thinking,
head.
is he talking about Cedric covering him at left back? Is that what he means? No.
Yeah. No, I don't know what happened there. Had a mind
mind freeze
moment. There we go.
Cedric has taken over your mind, Alex.
It's always that thing of Cedric lingering in pictures. He's now lingering in Arsenal fans.
Rent free in my head. Yeah. In terms of Zinchenko, no. Yeah, I agree with Dom. Not yet.
Yeah, I love this in the chat. Nelson turns 23 next month. Yeah, but I wasn't wrong in saying he turns 24 next year. And he still does do that. It's 23 until he turns 24 and then so on. You know how it works. Ojo.
Hi, Tom.
Zinchenko, are you worried?
No, because the more we're trying to be Man City, we can't afford to have fully functioning fullbacks. We need someone who's always on the injury bench. So Zinchenko fills the bill. And now that we see Zinchenko is injured, it looks like Tierney is magically recovered. So maybe he has just taken over the curse of the injured fullback.
Tierney's cursed him, clearly. What's he's done? He's just taken his injury and moved it over. I mean, I'm writing a piece at the moment about whether or not we should be worried about Zinchenko and doing a little bit.
But wasn't this the case at Man City as well?
Yeah, I was just about to say he had 16 separate injuries at Manchester City from 2018 through to 2022. He missed a total of 65 matches for Man City over those 4 years. So this isn't new. This isn't like a new thing, or he's just something. It's not like Thomas Partey where he arrived with a clean bill of health and then suddenly got injured. This is very different. He has had these issues, and yet what I write in the piece, and I don't want to give too much away, of course, but all the discussion around Zinchenko when we were going to buy him was, where's he going to play? Is he going to be in midfield? Is he going to play left back? Does he push the needle of quality? Is he worth the money? I don't remember any of us really discussing his injury record at all. I think it was a lot of excitement about what he could bring as a player, but maybe we overlooked that. Anyway, let's go to predictions. Dom, let's hear from you first. Scoreline and scoring, please.
So I'm going to go 2-1, and I think it will be. I'm going to go Nketiah and Xhaka. I feel like Xhaka's going to score again.
It was your start man, so it makes sense.
Sorry?
It was your start man, so it makes sense. Doesn't it?
Yeah, I've got a feeling he's going to have a good one and hopefully get a goal. And on the PSV side, whoever. Maybe Gakpo.
Lovely stuff. Alex?
I'm going to go 3-0, which I think has been my prediction for most games. To be honest.
Who for?
For us, sorry. Yeah. For us. I think Fabio Vieira will get one, and he'll get an assist as well, assisting Saka. Why not? I haven't got him in my team, but he'll come on.
I love that. I love when they ask for their predictions and then they pick scorers who's not in their team. I love that.
And Eddie to get one as well.
I'm surprised you didn't say Cedric, to be honest, Alex. In fairness, this is living rent-free in your mind at the moment.
Almost.
Almost, indeed. Ojo.
I predict a deeply boring draw. So the score would be one red and white jersey to another. Man of the match would actually be all the fans who stay up the random hours of the day to watch that nonsense. So yeah.
I've got to do a live blog of this game just to put that out there. The minute by minute, which you'll be able to, of course, follow on Football London. So yeah, that's it's a great build up to that shift. I'm looking forward to it now. Thanks, Ojo. You've really given me the confidence to go into that shift.
Anytime, bro. Anytime, bro. Anytime.
ML Reaction says 2-1 to the Arsenal. James Curry going for a 0-0. Timmy's going for a disappointing 2-2 draw with an Nketiah brace. I mean, it's not disappointing because a point is all we need. So I'd take a 2-2, I think. Afsar says 1-1. Daniel says 1-1 with Turney a 90th minute equaliser. Steve Stone's going for a 2-2. Eddie and Vieira with the goals. I was about to say, I wonder who James is going for his scorers, and then remembered what scoreline he went for. Paul's going for a 2-0 Arsenal win. Vieira and Jesus, and Javier's going for a 2-1 PSV win. Lynn's going for a 2-1 to the Arsenal, though. Xhaka and Saka, with Xavi Simons getting the goal for PSV. And Paul recommending there that Ojo is oozing positivity, as always in these shows. And just Vant going for a 3-0 Jesus hat-trick in this game. I am going for, I think I said 2-2 on the lounge on Monday, so I'm going to stick with that 2-2 prediction. I'll go with a double from Gakpo and a double from Jesus to get the goals in this one. A massive thank you to my panelists. Please, chat box and comment section, do show them some love and show some appreciation for how good they have been. Ojo, thank you for your time. As always, my friend, tell people where they can find you and what you're going to be up to.
Oh yeah, I'm all the humans in the comment section. Please feel free to become a member so that you can come into the Discord and watch me dominate the Fantasy Premier League in the Discord. I can't even see.
I'm just going to do an update on the fantasy because I've not talked about the fantasy. Of course, there are two TGT leagues. There is a member-specific league, and there is a overall fantasy league. If you go to the link tree in the description, you'll be able to get the code for the overall one, which I think we've got something like 600 odd people in that league now, which is kind of crazy. But in the TGT Members League, unfortunately, I have to report that Ojo does sit top. And considering there's 40 people in this league, it's fairly impressive. 762 points for Ojo.
Well, it's impressive for people like you. It's light work for me, but regardless,
where are you currently in the main TGT one? Right,
it doesn't matter. I only look at leagues where I'm number one.
I'm at the top. Richard Brabin is currently top with 825 points. Wow, he's doing very well. I'm scrolling down.
Ojo's 50th.
I'm scrolling down. Still haven't found you yet, Ojo. I'm scrolling down.
Absolutely unnecessary information.
Oh, there he is. He's 50 in the league. So...
And where art thou, O Tom of the TGT channel?
It doesn't matter, mate. I'm 302nd is where I am in that league. So there you go.
And where is this Spurs fan, right? Dan the Robertson.
I'm significantly lower.
I'm 12th in the TGT Members League, to be fair, which is bad. Dom, are you in our fantasy league?
I'm not in the Members League yet. I'm in the main one, and I'm lower than you, Tom. So less said about that, the better, I think.
There's actually 789 people in our TGT main league. So who's bottom of that? I need to see.
No.
Victor Jash. I'm so sorry. Whose team name?
Can we have a look at their team? Can we have a look at his team?
Is it not Dan Roberts? Is it not Daniel Roberts?
Dan Roberts.
Victor Jash has got 75 points in their last game week, which is more than I got. I think maybe they're new. Maybe they've only just started their season. Okay. But they've got Kane in their team. That kind of tells you why they're bottom of the league. There you go. Alex, thank you so much for your time, as always, my friend. Tell people they can find you and what you're going to be up to, fella.
As always, you can find me on the Discord server, or if anyone wants to stand in the winter rain, then they're welcome to come and watch any Bournemouth under-21s games, and I'll be there.
You made it sound like you're playing for Bournemouth under-21s. There.
Sorry, I'm a performance analyst, so I film and analyse.
Brilliant stuff. No, it'll be working at Arsenal one day. It'll be the guy. I'll tell you what's really a little bit glimpse behind the curtain. When I was at the Southampton game on Sunday. In the press box, the Southampton analyst was in the press box. When they scored, he jumped out of his seat, ran down several stairs and fist pumped in front of all of the Arsenal press. And me and Kai just looked to our left like what? Because I've told you this story before, that it's pretty frowned upon to celebrate in the press box. You're not meant to do it.
Yeah.
So it was the most surreal thing. I've seen this guy just fist pump the air. It was mad.
I'm usually on a scaffold, so I can't really move too far. I don't fancy climbing down ladders. I'm actually quite scared of heights as it is. So climbing down a ladder more than once or up a ladder more than once is
Lovely stuff. Lovely stuff. Dom, thank you so much for making your debut, mate. You did brilliantly well. I hope you've enjoyed it. Tell people they can find you and what you're going to be up to, fella.
Yeah, thanks again for having me on, Tom, and thanks to the chat and everyone for all the love. So I'm a DJ. I stream on Twitch. This is what this setup is about, and so please follow me on Twitch if you've got an account. Dom C the DJ everywhere. So Dom C the DJ on Twitch, Dom C the DJ on Instagram, and you'll find me as a bit of a voyeur in the Discord at the moment. I'll just kind of seeing, because I've only been in there a few weeks, so just seeing how it works and seeing how I can fit in. But yeah, you can catch me in there as well.
Yeah, I'm intrigued actually because Ojo and Alex and a lot of others have been in the Discord for a long time. I think more than a year. I think potentially both have been in the Discord now. What was it like joining just as a relatively new member, and how did you feel joining the TGT family out of interest?
Yeah, it was great. So I felt welcomed immediately from people names that I recognised from watching the shows, and yeah, there's sections. I mean, I haven't used it yet, but I will be letting people know about my streams, and there's lots of different conversations. Tom, we have a bit in common. I'm into drum and bass, into F1, and all of those kind of channels are there to have some interesting conversation. As I said, I've been watching. And I've jumped in on a couple of things. So when we were talking about, what was it? When you were talking about the sponsorship, when you put that out to the members, I commented on that, and I thought that was a great idea. And here we are, and it's working well with the seamless links between content and ads that you've managed to get going. So yeah, look, I think it's a great place. Discord's a great tool anyway, right? But like any tool, it's how you use it, and the people that use it are great, and yeah, the whole premise of it is all for the love of Arsenal, and spreading the love and spreading knowledge. So it's pretty good.
No, I appreciate that.
I'm impressed.
I should get Dom to do the advert for the server. That was brilliant. No, as you said, there is an F1 channel, there is a music channel in there for people to discuss. We've got movies, cricket, boxing, MLS, gaming. Basically, someone sends me a message saying, I want to talk about this. Can we create a channel? And most times, 9 out of 10 times, I would say I'd do it. There was one where Ojo said, can we have a really boring channel just for people to put boring messages in? But I said no to that.
That's because you started TGT instead, right? We can't have
he's slamming me. He's got the slam in there. Oh, dear. I set him up and he's knocked it out the park. But no, if you would like to join the TGT membership, go to the link tree in the description. You can find all the information there. What I would say is sometimes it doesn't work on mobile. You have to go onto desktop sometimes to do it. I don't know why. It just is that. That's how it works. But yeah, if you join as an expert member or a TGT ambassador, you get access to the Discord server, and that then gives you access and opportunity to come on the shows, because we always ask for people to come on for previews. The next one will be, I think, on Friday ahead of the game against Nottingham Forest. So I'll make sure to put a message into the Discord for that. But thank you to everybody that's tuned in. A little bit of an extra long preview show today. We did a shorter show this morning, so I thought it made sense to do that. You can make sure to get all the reactions to tomorrow's game after it has completed, but most likely tomorrow, Friday morning at 8 a.m. And then, of course, what we'll have is the normal 8 a.m. show tomorrow morning as well. Have a great day. Have a great evening. Massive thank you to Dom, Alex, and Ojo once again. We will see you again very, very soon. And as always, up the Arsenal.